I want to bring Philip DeFranco up because he, on his show today, covered something that you would not see on MSNBC. He covered a blog post that went up, and in covering it, he made sure very clearly to say that it is not verified. He has not heard directly from the author of the blog post that this is a real story, that's not just trolling, but it's been making the rounds across the liberal blogosphere about a blogger who, upon knowing the gender of her child, aborted it, and the things that she said in this post were absolutely awful about about males, and that she couldn't bear to bring the kind of devastation and destruction that a male would most likely bring into the world, and then she had her kid aborted. That story, I'm not sure if it's true. I've looked at the page that was posted on. I'm not sure whether this is a real story or if it's clickbait, but I will tell you that Philip DeFranco covered that. He said, "Hey, I'm not sure if this is clickbait, and I'm not sure if this is a troll, or if it's an actual story." And then he covered the story, and he brought up the exactly what she was saying, and without showing too much bias. At the end of the clip, he asked, and this is the thing that just kills me and is amazing that he did it. He asked, "Is aborting a baby for gender reasons okay compared to the other reasons that a child would be aborted?" And going through some of them, would it be okay to abort? Is this okay to abort a kid because of its gender? That's amazing to me. And this is a news source. This is a guy who is trusted and who is watched by many, many millions of people of my generation. And this is a lot of where we're getting our news from. So to me, I think that's a huge thing. I think that's a great, I mean, it's a victory to even have this discussion, I think, on this kind of a, from this kind of a source. And it's just, it makes me happy to know that we talked about Philip DeFranco and that he does continue to have this kind of, a show.
Well, and I think you've mentioned Philip DeFranco before, and I've never, confession, I've never watched his show. I'm not a big YouTube show watcher, subscribe. I watch little clips, but if it's longer than a couple of minutes, I'm like, I don't really want to know about that. I don't know.
Except for the Refinery, of course. Except for the Refinery, right?
Okay, right, yeah. Although I will say I have watched the Android ad with Roger Miller's song in it over and over and over again because I absolutely love it. But that's just me. I love cute little baby animals, and the orangutan when he falls down at the end. I see myself in that.
YouTube is more than just baby animals. I'm saying this for the benefit of everyone in our audience. YouTube is more than just baby animals being funny.
But because you say that YouTube is, important and stuff, and I kind of listen to you sometimes. Earlier today, I was reading an article on Medium. It was not a political article at all. It was about what a millennial thinks about different social media programs and the different social media applications and how young people are using them. And in it, he mentioned Philip DeFranco as basically the news source for him and his friends and their college sophomores. And so I perked up. I'm like, whoa, okay, so that really is true. It isn't just JD making it up. This guy is apparently really is listened to and taken seriously as a news source, and he mentioned Jon Stewart and Philip DeFranco as the places that they get their news, along with Facebook. And that's the way the things that people use as their sources for information when they're in college is totally different than what becomes their news source in a couple of years when they are starting out in their career, and they change over time. So just saying that, gosh, young people use YouTube, so YouTube is the way the world is going to be. No, YouTube is what young people use right now. Young people were all about Facebook before, and now those young people are mid-career and they're all about LinkedIn now, and young people who used to be into Facebook are now into Instagram instead. So things change and the medium changes, but we do need to all take into account that broadcast news, I personally never watch broadcast news. I also don't watch cable news shows anymore either, but where people are getting their news is changing, and we're all getting our news from biased sources. We always have been, because everybody's biased, but now I think we're seeing that the biased sources are acknowledging their biases, and that's part of their self-definition. Philip DeFranco, I looked him up on Wikipedia. He is listed, his Wikipedia entry says right there he is libertarian and he is an atheist. He states that about himself right up front. It's public knowledge, and so when you listen to and watch his shows, you know that going in. So there's more integrity in that, to me, than somebody who
Leslie,
pretends they have no opinion.
Of course, Leslie. Now that you said that, like everybody's like, oh well, no. So much for him. So much for Philip DeFranco.
Right. He's a libertarian atheist. Oh my God.
He
Seriously?
is. I need to just point out that of the moderate voices out there, he is not. He's not a jerk about either of those things, and I think that's important. So I'm happy. I'm happy with him.
Well, because his show isn't the libertarian political atheist show. It's the Philip DeFranco show.
This idea of authenticity being a huge factor, being something that we pay attention to, is absolutely, to me, I think it's something I've heard a lot about. It's something that the people do care about. They don't even really care about the disagreement so much, as long as there is a idea that you're talking to somebody honestly, that this is somebody who is a real person.